speaking? Okay, could I talk to you when we're done? Good. Craziness in my world is basically this one. When you keep doing the same action, but expect a different result. Now, wasn't it Einstein who once said that those people who are creating the problem is definitely not the people who can solve the problem? I think Einstein, he was a pretty bright guy, so he probably figured out a few things. And who's trying to cope with the problem in today's world? I think it's more or less the same people who created the damn problem 5 years ago, wasn't it? So if we're trying to solve the problem with the same tools that created the problem, we're not going to solve anything. Now, any one of you have an interest in ice hockey? Any one of you watching ice hockey at any point in your life? Yeah? Well, we got a Swede in the room, and Sweden is a neighbor country to Denmark, and Denmark is definitely not good at ice hockey, so we know the Swedes are pretty good at it because they beat up us all the time. So anyway, ice hockey is a fascinating sport because it's one of the fastest team sports in the world. And there was a Canadian guy a while ago who was kind of unique. You know, he was outperforming anybody else. The team he was playing on, it was not a question if they would win. It was only a question about how much they would win, because they would always win. Anybody remember his name? Yeah? What was his name?
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky. He was an outstanding ice hockey player. I actually called him the ice hockey sports world version of Tiger Woods, right? We all know Tiger Woods in golf. You know, when Tiger Woods were peaking, when he was absolutely up there being the best in the world, it must have been really annoying being a professional golf player, right? Because you would always know that you will only be number 2. I mean, they could just hand him the trophy when he arrived at the parking lot. There you go. Could you please go? You know, because there was no point playing. He would win. By the way, I'm very often doing speaking engagement in the US right now. And I've found that the Americans have a special attitude towards Tiger Woods. I'm pretty impressed with the guy. But the Americans find him morally wrong. But I'm impressed. You know what? At the same time that he was the absolute best golf player in the world, he was married, had 2 small kids, and 19 mistresses. Guys, that's fucking time management. He's the best in the world to do things with his time. I mean, I'm so impressed, but that doesn't work in the US. They have a different approach into that. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Tiger Woods. We're going to talk about Wayne Gretzky up here. Because Wayne Gretzky, as I just said, has been extremely successful. He's not playing actively anymore, but at one point in my career, I was studying this guy. Why was he so good? And I've been watching lots of interviews with the guy, and he was a very humble guy. But in one interview, I suddenly discovered why he was so much more successful than all the other players in the world. There was a journalist asking Mr. Gretzky as usual, so why, Mr. Gretzky, do you think you are so much more better than everybody else playing? And I never forget this interview because he was looking down into the ground, being very humble and kicking with his boots like that, and then he said the following: I know